Most of what people do is sit down. There's been many days where I didn't want to work out. I just didn't feel like I had the energy, and I just forced myself. And I think there's very few people out there that know how to force themselves. That kind of discipline and focus, you have to have like real rigid requirements of yourself where you don't allow yourself to back out of things and you don't allow yourself to slack off. And I don't think people put those kind of requirements on themselves as if it's a daily principle of life, like what you must get done. You know, you must brush your teeth, you must exercise for 45 minutes. And if you did that, I think you'd be healthier and happier, and your body would perform more smoothly. And if you require your body to do things like that, I think it rises to the occasion. There are very few people that have that kind of discipline. So because of that, they come up with excuses. And excuses are a giant part of the problem. It's not simply a physical health issue. There's also mental aspects of it, and discipline's a big one. I just know way too many people who are weak mentally. And I can't just chalk it off to only, you know, their physical, the way they physically feel, because I felt like shit 100 times, and then I worked out, and then I felt way better. It's just a fact of life. That's real. You know, you just gotta, and people don't know how to do that. And it's not, and if you're used to doing this, get in your car, sit down, drive to the office, sit down, go to the lunch, sit down, you know, go to the board meeting, sit down. Get in your car on the way home, sit down. Get home in front of the TV, sit down. Then go to the gym, fuck off. They don't have any energy. You know, their body's not, their body's like, I don't have it in me to do this. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think it's a lot of it is the mindset. But there's also a discipline aspect. And these things are not mutually exclusive. They exist together. They're all together, and they work symbiotically. The way your mindset affects the choices you make with your diet, and the mindset also affects the choices you make in terms of like whether or not you require yourself to exercise. And I think these are critical aspects that people like to gloss over, or they like to make excuses about. And they get very angry if you don't accept those excuses. And that's a sign that they're trying to enforce this standard and this idea and push it on you and give themselves an excuse. And it's one of the reasons why they get angry. It's one thing if someone has a legit physical issue like you do, but there's a lot of people who do not. They just have poor diet choices, they have a sedentary lifestyle, and they have the momentum of this sedentary lifestyle that's holding them back. They're accustomed to being lazy. You don't have to do a lot, you just have to do something. You walk up hills, you jump a little rope, you take a little tiny kettlebell, you do a couple cleans and presses, you do a few push-ups, you do a few sit-ups, you get your blood pumping, you're moving, you're alive, you're exercising. To say you don't have enough energy to exercise, that's crazy. Can you walk to the refrigerator? Then you can exercise. I'm not saying that you have to run marathons. You can exercise, and everyone should fucking exercise. People are so crazy. They want you to believe, I don't have the energy to exercise. But to give people this excuse, I don't have the energy to exercise, that is crazy to say. Can you walk to the fucking refrigerator? Yes. Well, you can exercise. You don't have to do anything crazy. Just walk around the block. There's 80-year-old ladies who take yoga with me. They're fucking really old, and they're in there. They're going after it. They could easily say, I don't have the energy to do that. But they don't. It's a mental attitude. They make a decision. You don't have to go nuts and do clean and presses with 150 pounds. You don't have to do that, but you have to do something. Just get your blood moving. Your body has requirements. It wants to move. It really does. And when it does, you feel better. But people like to give themselves this excuse. I do not have the energy to do this. Whatever. If you decide that, that's true. But if you watch a motivational video, there's 100 of them on YouTube, thousands even. Go watch one, you'll get fired up. You're like, fuck it, I'm gonna jump some rope. You jump some rope, you do something. Just do some push-ups, do something, do some body weight squats. You'll feel better. But it's also like learning that and having that as a part of your daily life. It has to be, you know, again, I'm not talking about someone like you who's in the throes of this autoimmune disorder where you're getting your hip replaced at 17. I'm not talking about someone with like serious degenerative illness. I'm talking about just a regular person who's overweight. You can do it. There's a lady who's like 450 pounds that takes yoga with me. She's enormous. She's in there. Which is probably really embarrassing. Very hard to do. She's in there. Anyone can do it. We can do it. And again, I'm not saying do what Michael Phelps does. I'm just saying just do something. Gotta do something. We have fucked up lifestyles.
Yeah.
The lifestyles that people have are just, the human body is not designed to sit down all day, and it's certainly not designed to be stuck in traffic and be in an office and just be, fluorescent lights just sitting there in front of a fucking computer monitor watching your soul get sucked through the LCD screen. It's crazy.
Is there advice you can give to people, to young kids that are living through a shitty situation of any sort, a tough life?
Find a thing you like. Try to find a thing that you really enjoy. Try to find a thing that you're passionate about.
Like an activity.
Yes. For me, early on, it was drawing. It was illustrations. It was comic books. I wanted to be a comic book illustrator. And then it went from comic book drawing and illustrations to martial arts. But it was just another thing that I was very, very passionate about. And that was my vehicle out of my dilemma. That was my vehicle out of my own anxiety and trauma and my own issues and insecurities. And find something. Find a thing that you genuinely enjoy, because getting good at things you genuinely enjoy is extremely beneficial for young people, because it lets you know that, like, everybody thinks they're a loser. Every young person thinks they're a loser. At least a young person in the situation I was at. Like, I didn't know I wasn't a loser until I started winning, until I started doing martial arts. Martial arts taught me that, like, I could get better at stuff, that I wasn't really a loser. I just was someone who was, like, in a fucked up situation. But you could channel all that energy that you have as a young person into something and get better at it. And then all of a sudden people admired me. I was like, this is crazy. So I went from being someone who was incredibly insecure and basically a failure to someone who was really successful at this one thing that was very dangerous, that other people were scared of. And that gave me immense confidence and also a real understanding of the direct correlation between hard work and success. Also an understanding that you can't listen to people, because even my parents didn't want me to do martial arts. They didn't want me to fight. They didn't want me to do stand-up. There's like, you have to understand, like, who you are, and then in the face of other people's either criticism or lack of faith in your ability to succeed, you push through, and there's great benefit in that. And then you realize that you can kind of apply that to other things in life. You can apply that to critics, you can apply that to social media commentators, you can apply that to a lot of things. If you're alive, you can get better at stuff. And I don't think people are happy if they don't have puzzles and complex tasks and things that are interesting to them, whether it's an art project or whether it's learning something completely new like stand-up comedy. Like, doing things that are difficult is it's as much of a nourishment of the mind as food is a nourishment of the body. I think you need things that are puzzling to you, where you have to find your own human potential in the difficulty of the task and work your way through things. At least for me. For me, I mean, I can only speak for me because I'm the only life that I've ever lived that I'm aware of. And in my life, that has been 100% constant. I am a very happy person, and I have never had a moment where I'm not doing difficult shit. One of the great things about being challenged physically is it's also mental. The people that don't understand that have never really been challenged physically. People that think that physical challenges are just physical. It's just brute grunt work. It's not. It's emotional intelligence. It's understanding your desire to quit and conquering your inner bitch. All that stuff it's mental. It's playing out inside your head. And there's a mental strength that you acquire from that you can apply to intellectual pursuits. And the people that don't think that are the people that haven't attempted them. And there's an arrogance to people that only pursue intellectual exercises, only pursue intellectual things, and don't pursue anything physical. That the physical stuff is base, it's grunt work, it's primal, it's not necessary. I don't think that's accurate. I don't think that obviously there's people like Stephen Hawking who have no opportunity to do anything physical, right? his physical dilemma is keeping his heart beating. But for most people, I think you can really benefit from physical struggle, and you benefit from it in a mental way. And I think that is overlooked. That's unfortunately overlooked by academics and intellectuals who they make excuses for why they're fat and lazy or scrawny. You gotta write down what the fuck you want and then go after it. If you decide, I'm gonna get down to bang, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna run a marathon in less than 5 hours, I'm gonna, whatever the fuck it is, you gotta write that shit down and go for it. Well, my workout I schedule every Sunday. I schedule everything that I'm gonna do during the week. I say I have to do yoga 2 times this week, I have to lift weights 3 times this week, I have to run twice this week, and however I fit that in, I fit it in, but I owe those things. What I tell people is the best advice that I've ever heard, the best advice I ever came up with, is that live your life like you're the hero in your movie. Right now is when the fucking movie starts and your life is a shitbag disaster. Pretend you are, right now, you are in the part of the movie that starts and it shows you as a fucking loser. And just decide not to be a loser. Live your life like there's a documentary crew following you around and you are analyzing your own. Do what you would want to do so that your kids one day would look back at it and see that documentary and look on it with pride. Like, wow, my dad was a bad motherfucker. He really did what he had to do. Wow, my mom really got her shit together. I love a success story, but even more than a success story, I like a dude who fucks his life up and then gets it back together again story. Those are my favorite stories.